that's quite interesting. And as for that camera, 3,200 megapixels, well, my best camera for the Astro's got 64 megapixels, and I think that's quite good. But yes, a 3,200 megapixel camera, I'd like one of them. That would be something, wouldn't it? And just lastly, on the subject of propagation, yes, apropos of amateur radio rather than astronomy, but made a whole heap of 80 metre FT8 DX contacts earlier this evening. Canada, United States, Argentina, Japan, all over the place. 80 metres FT8. FT8's obviously easier than sideband, but on 80 metres to the other side of the planet, I thought that was pretty cool, because I know it works to narrow wiring really well, but I didn't know it would get to the United States even with FT8, so I thought that's pretty cool. I guess it's all to do with the sun. All right, thanks Clint, thanks for the broadcast. We'll see you next week, hopefully. VK3EKH, VK3SPX.
Yeah, I can't wait to explore FT8. As soon as I get the station sorted out and I can configure a spare radio for running FT8 and the like, I'm definitely looking forward to being able to just let that go and have a one singular monitor that just monitors all the paths and connections that get taken place. It must be really interesting to watch where your signal is actually being detected and heard and whatnot. So yeah, I'll get around to that. Like everything else around here, I'll get around to it one way or another. But yeah, no, thanks for coming in and yes. It's fairly amazing the things that I don't actually have a digital camera at the moment. Like when I start doing astrophotography, I'll most likely purchase a dedicated camera for that work, rather than a digital SLR type camera. Although I'd love to get a hold of a digital SLR camera, an appropriate one that can be used just for normal photography, but one that works on perfectly well attached to a telescope. But I'll still put that off. I'll just wait until the camera's megapixel count continues to increase. Every 12 months they bring out a new camera that's just a few more megapixel capability. Dear, it's an amazing thing, photography these days. It's a far cry from what it used to be. It's like comparing, VHS videotapes to Blu-ray. So anyway, I'm back up on YouTube again. The modem's fired back up, so there's a second stream running out there somewhere. But the other stream is just stopped dead. So bloody YouTube. Thanks, Steve. Is there any other stations wishing to check in before we disappear? VK3 EKH listening.
VK3 Bravo. Good evening, Clint. VK3 Alpha Oscar Bravo, alias another old boozer.
Right, there were about 3 or 4 stations there that all came on top of each other. So I got VK3 AOB and VK3 BSF and VK3 Delta X-ray. That's what I made out of the 3 of you all combining. I think I've got everybody. Was there another station?
Hong Kong.
Steve. All right. VK3 HK. VK3 AOB. Have a say. VK3 EKH.
Interesting, and the noise. I get into bed at night and I listen to what do you call it? I actually listen to 3 different AM stations, and depending on what the band noise is like, I listen to the one that has the best signal. So it could be 3MP or
Adelaide cruise on 1323 kilohertz, and there's another one somewhere, probably Bendigo. But at night, the signals vary, and if there's thunder and lightning about, well, forget it. But when there's no thunder or lightning, the bands can be quite reasonable. But it's interesting that the solar wind effects and all that. So, it was quite interesting to listen to. That's my 2 cents worth for the evening. Good evening, Stephen. HK. VK, yes, back to you.
You know, it's Brett, VK3AOB, VK3EKH, VK3CSJ on the microphone. No, it's Brett. Yeah, I often listen to the broadcast band at night time. I always like to tune in between the main broadcasters and listen to the country stations, to the more distant broadcast stations, and it's always interesting to hear the QSB on that, and the distant lightning crackles that occur. As you say, sometimes it's the storm activity makes it impossible. But anyway, I know what you're saying. And yes, with the current activity, it's I think as Frank said, I think it was Frank, it said that 20 metres was quite alive at the moment, or has been. So there's more to come. There is more crackle and pop and activity to come. So we haven't quite reached the peak of this solar cycle 25. So more to come. There is definitely more to come. Thanks, Britt. You're a good signal yourself. 20 to 25 over. Not a problem at all. Peter, VK3BSF, local station, VK3EKH.
Thanks, Clint. VK3BSF returning. Yeah, good broadcast. I like the way Tabitha detected magnetic circles emanating out of the sun. Or she had another explanation which I found was most good. That spacecraft are actually refueling from the sun. Magic stuff, isn't it? Your audio levels here are okay. No problems. And poor old Venus is losing atmosphere, but I didn't know the Earth was losing 90 tonnes of atmospheric stuff a day. Gosh, I wonder how that's replaced. That sounds a lot, but apparently it's not much. All signals are good, and you're good, and good broadcast too. VK3EKH, VK3BSF.
Thanks, Pete. VK3BSF, VK3EKH. Yes, look, I learn something every Friday when I do this, even though most of what I read off the screen here is kind of puts me into an automatic mode. I don't exactly absorb everything. It's just I read. But if there's something that I arc up on, I'll tend to repeat it like I did. Was it 90 tons, I think, something like that. So yeah, I didn't know that. That's quite interesting. But it's like it's a question often asked. You know, how come our air, our atmosphere doesn't escape into space? I mean, it's like as if there's no barrier between the surface of the Earth and outer space. It's like it's not a sealed environment. But it's purely gravity. It's the action of gravity that keeps our atmosphere intact. But there is a percentage of it that does disappear into space as the Earth moves about the sun. There's a kind of a wake effect, I suppose you could say, that's created. But given the amount of activity that's occurring on the surface of the planet, that stuff that's creating our oxygen and whatnot, particularly the oceans, I suspect that 90 tons that's disappearing every day, I think it was every day, is being replaced fairly quickly by natural natural actions that occur on the planet. Let me see if I can find that quickly where it says that. 90 tons. Yeah, Earth loses about 90 tons of atmospheric material every day. But then it says this is not enough to make a dent. But it does give us a few clues about why some of the other planets are the way they are. So yeah, most interesting indeed, isn't it? Anyway, thanks, Peter. Good signal from you, of course. Across to Greg, VK3 Delta X-ray, VK3 EKH.
Good on you, Clint. BK3EKH for this evening, and good evening. It's been there. Clint signals have been well up there, above up there in the red scale. Good to hear Clint on there. Well, Brett, I should say. You're Clint. Brett, I meant AOB. Yeah, he hasn't recognised me. I know they're Clint. I'm usually another call sign when I'm been talking to him. Think it ain't Steve there, HK, and Peter. See you there. Yeah, I'm starting to get worried there when you're talking about that atmosphere caber. 90 tons is going. I'm thinking, oh, this looks serious. It sounds serious, but then when you said it's not making a dent, that sounds good. And it's all obviously well, due to gravity. Yeah, don't understand it all, Clint, but anyway. Yeah, you mentioned FT8 there too. You got to get to it. It's just, excuse me, that's the thing with having a radio. We've got that many things we can do. And, you know, there's only so many hours in a day and in a night. So, yeah, you can get right into all these different things. But anyway, nothing else I must recall. I was going to mention the devil comet they're talking about there, Clint. I'm hoping to get a look at that. I hope the skies remain clear. It was mentioned there tonight somewhere. It must be on the news service. It must be coming sort of visible or something very shortly. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble, Clint. I'm a bit late tonight, so I had to step out. There was a bit of a crash in the house here. A heap of coils of wire sort of pulled up in the hallway. I must have walked past. Anyway, I come into the front room here where I've got the shack, and anyway, about 2 minutes later, they all fell down, frightened the crap out of me. But anyway, it was smelling breaking in, and the roof hadn't fallen in, and all that sort of stuff. So I just had to pick them up and clear away again. It's a bit of an obstacle course this time, Clint. Thanks for running the boat. You've done a great job as you normally do. I watched it on YouTube there earlier on, so tracking well. VK3 EKH, VK3 Delta X-ray, Greg and Warrnambool.
Thanks, Greg. VK3 Delta X-ray, VK3 EKH returning. Yes. Well, yeah, lots of good things going on, and yes, that comet. I'm not sure if it's visible in our skies yet. I think it's a northern hemisphere object at the moment, but actually, if I look in the latest Crux, our ASV's newsletter, I think I mentioned this last week about this. What's it say? Comet 12P, Pons Brooks, may brighten to magnitude 4 in the evening sky in late April and May. So it's almost there as a visible object here from the southern hemisphere. So it's Comet 12P, Pons Brooks, brighten to magnitude 4 late April and May. Is there anything more they say about that? Comet 12P is currently magnitude 6.5, which is brighter than predicted. It will be visible in our skies from late April, but we will have to wait until early May to see it well. It's predicted to brighten to magnitude 4 at that time. On the 2nd of May at 6:15 p.m. it will be approximately 14 degrees above the horizon in the western sky. So if you've got a reasonably good view of the western horizon, towards the end of next week at about 6:15 p.m. If there's no clouds around, there's a possibility of being able to see it. 14 degrees above the horizon. Well, I'm not sure how lucky I'll be, but I'll see if I can see it. We'll see. Okay, it's across to Mr. Steve, VK3HK, VK3EKH.
Righto. Once again, I've stayed up, especially to send in my verbal report. Hope you appreciate this Clinty old boy. And good evening to Britt, and good evening, Greg. Both booming in here. Huge signals. In fact, signals are quite good this evening. Not quite, not too much snap, crackle, pop like there was last night. That was shocking. Pardon me. But very good reception tonight, that's for sure. Thanks for staying up, Clint. All very good. And the subject matter, very interesting. Had no idea that we're losing all this atmosphere. I'll take a few deep breaths, while I can. Suck in a bit before it all goes. As you were talking, you were saying couldn't work out what keeps it in. Well, I'm thinking to myself, exactly what does keep it in? How come we don't all get sucked out and end up in outer space somewhere? But of course, gravity, even though it's gas, it's still got some sort of density. So just as well. Yeah. And I don't know whether you've approached the subject of Mars and what happened to their atmosphere. You probably have already, but that's an interesting story. Okay, I've given you a signal report. You're 30 dB over 9, sometimes going up to 40, but generally 30. Britt, you're thumping in, and so are you too, Greg. I'm not even going to embarrass you by telling you how strong you are. Back to you, Clint. VK3EKH. This is VK3HK.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. VK3HK, VK3CSJ. You're about 25 to 30 over 9. Mightily strong indeed. And thanks for hanging around. I know this is a bit late for you, so definitely appreciate hanging in there. And thanks for the email for the report too. Yes, I definitely have to make sure that my audio levels are intact when I go from on live on camera to recorded material. It's always a bit of a trick. Anyway, and of course, right now I've lost the signal from the TV repeater again. I have to assume that I'm getting into it okay, but there's something dodgy about my receive antenna, and it's playing me up. So it's a bit of a nuisance factor, that. Anyway, but I've got the YouTube stream running again. It's a matter of finding the live stream, but it's there. It is running again. I'm not sure why the modem falls over the way it does randomly. Anyway, thanks everybody for calling in tonight. It's a good turnout again. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stations tonight. Excellent stuff. So thank you for everybody calling in, and we'll be back next Friday to do it again after Anzac Day. It'll be a long weekend for me because I'm taking next Friday off as well. So I'll be a little bit more prepared, I think, than I was tonight. Anyway, cheers, everyone. Take care. Look after yourselves. Again, thank you very much, Lee. And we'll see you all next week. You have been listening to a broadcast from VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. Yes, and more information can be found at www.asv.org.au. Cheers for now. Take care. This is VK3EKH with VK3CSJ on the microphone, now concluding. Cheers, everyone.
The 90 tonnes a day of atmosphere might not sound like much, but it's 3,000 tonnes a year. That might give cause concern, for concern in the long run. Yeah, well, just how many tonnes are there all up? there'd have to be an awful lot. It's a wonder we're not all walking around with a bit of a stoop, Brett. Yeah, fine, Stephen. Yeah, no, well, that's true, yeah. But that's what could have happened on Mars. Maybe they had, no, they'd be dead tree branches and stuff. But, oh, maybe not in the long term. No, even that would break down, bombarded by radiation and micrometeorites.